Hello. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Shivangi Lahoti, aka your designer Didi, and in today's video, I have a special guest with me, Dhairya Gangwani. Dhairya, for those of you who haven't heard of her, you just need to go on LinkedIn and you'll find her. She is one of the LinkedIn Creator Program's first content creators who's been selected for their pilot program. She's got about 60,000 followers there, but more than her followers, Dhairya is somebody who's impacted the life of 5,000 plus people in the industry, and she comes from an engineering background and has been working with one of the top big fours of the world, KPMG, and she's here today to talk about career guidance, because that is something that she actively and very passionately speaks about, whether it is job opportunities, how to bag the perfect job, or how to build your resume a certain way to get more visibility and to get seen. And I'm so glad that Dhairya agreed to do this podcast with us. Thank you so much for joining us today, Dhairya.
Thank you, Shivangi. The pleasure is all mine, and super excited to be able to kind of share whatever it is that I know based on how I've been able to kind of mentor my students. And probably it should be something that your audience finds value out of and our purpose is served.
Absolutely. So, tell me something, Dhairya. To begin with, your social media states that you've helped and impacted the life of 5,000 plus people through your content, through your engagement, through your one-on-one mentorship, etc. From your experience, bagging it in one of the
Right.
big fours, what is it that you feel recruiters are first looking for? Right, the first thing that comes to the recruiter's mind when they see your profile, because there's a lot of clutter in this country, right? So, how would a recruiter
Correct.
ideally be thinking? What are your some tips on that front?
Yeah, I think that's a really relevant question. And coming to answering it, while, a lot of personal traits or technical traits is what people would probably think is what the recruiter really looks at. And yes, your communication skills, the relevance of your background and the work you've done, your experience, all of that does count. And they're surely going to use it as a testimony of whether you're capable of taking up the job and being one of the, competitors in that particular interview space to get that job. I think, according to me, what I've noticed is not just in a big four, in general, in any interview, recruiters are now looking at the attitude of the candidate more than anything else. And while it's probably not a very, very tangible thing, right? I mean, I don't know how to put it into a shape and form, and you can't measure someone's attitude, you can't. But just the way a person presents themselves, carry themselves in an interview room, the way you answer a particular question, the attitude with which you've come to the interview, it all speaks a lot about how dedicated you are to getting hired in the firm, how serious you are about the job, and what kind of a preparatory mindset have you come with. And I think the attitude and a little bit of emotional intelligence today is what is very important to get a job than anything else, because I think we get tested on our IQ, using those aptitude tests and stuff. You get tested on your technical skills again in the technical interviews, but what about the emotional quotient, right? And I think that is what the recruiters are really looking forward to as well today.
Absolutely, that's such sound advice that they're not just looking at your mark sheets and your transcripts anymore. People, recruiters, when hiring, are very tactful in their approach, and they focus a lot on emotional intelligence as well and EQ as well, which is very well said. But when somebody is applying for their first job, right, there's a lot of nervousness because it's the first time that they'll actually be sitting for interviews, and it's the first time that they're actually doing the drill, and there are a lot of questions that come to anybody. We've all been there, right? In some way or the other, we've all been there, maybe a few years back, maybe 2 years back, 10 years back, but we've all been there. What is that one thing that you feel is relevant in 2022 that candidates should be focusing on when it comes to applying for their first job? What is the first thing that they should be focusing on?
Right. Again, a very, very relevant question for job seekers. I think, again, a lot of people tend to concentrate completely on the brand value of the organization they're going to work with, the package it's going to offer to them, the location maybe, and all sorts of things. And while all of that is extremely important, probably to a certain extent, we tend to forget the most important bit of what's going to be your identity, which is the job role in itself. So I think, in fact, I'll tell you this. When I was having a conversation very recently also with one of my juniors, because the placement season is going on. So, they just tended to ask me that should I go with company A or company B? Company A is a bigger firm, company B is a smaller firm, but still company B is offering a larger package as compared to company A. So I think we have limited our thought to just size of the company, brand value of the company, and the CTC being offered. We've forgotten to look at other aspects, such as, number one, the kind of work culture that's prevalent there. How are the employees really taken care of there? What kind of a work ethic is followed? What is your career progression going to look like there? And more so, over the most important bit, the role that you're being offered, would you be able to do justice to it? And is it something where you can prove your worth and really, kind of excel at it? Because that's what's going to get you everything else. So I think more than concentrating on anything else, you should concentrate on the role. So even if, let's say, you're applying for a role at Google, but rather than concentrating on its Google and let's say it's offering you a package of 40 lakhs, why don't you try on concentrating on whether it's offering you a data analyst role or a digital marketing associate role? Because it's very important for you to be very upfront with yourself that what are you capable of, doing better, and where will you excel. So people tend to forget the role, which is going to define your work and build your identity at the firm and take you forward in your career. So I think always concentrate on the role more than anything else. That's what they should look at in 2022 when applying for jobs.
Absolutely. And I feel this piece of advice is so relevant, that the kind of work culture that you're getting into is very, very important. It's so important because today, more than ever, we have a lot of awareness about, mental wellness, and a lot of importance is being given to sort of having your own me time other than, the hours that you're slogging at work. And find that good work-life balance is so crucial. And if you end up in a job role that you may love and in a company that you may love, but if the work environment is toxic, A, you're not going to sort of last there, and B, of course, you'd maybe start detesting the job altogether or the role altogether. That sound advice. So yeah, that's wonderful.
True.
But you know what? We live in India, and the cutthroat competition in India is crazy, right? And every year, you've seen it.
Right.
You've graduated from VIT. You've seen the kind of companies that come, and then the influx of students who are sitting, like headless chicken, running around, trying to get into as many companies as possible, and sort of sitting for as many, job interviews as possible. What is that one thing that you would advise students when, which would make them stand apart and stand out and also get to the interview stage? Because even reaching that interview stage is so difficult with the kind of competition that we have in India today. So what would you suggest to them?
Correct. Yeah. So I think, firstly, for you to be able to make it to the interview stage, whether it's an on-campus job that you're applying to or an off-campus job, the first, barrier that you have to kind of overcome or cross is the resume. And it is very important that your resume is on point. And by on point, I don't mean that it needs to have as much information about your achievements as possible. It needs to be beautiful looking or aesthetic. No. What I mean by having an on point resume is a resume that depicts probably the highlights of what you've been able to do and accomplish, the variety of work that you've done, your major skill set, and your capabilities more than anything else, which is not measured by the length of your resume or the number of bullet points that are there explaining the work you've done. So it's always quality over quantity. That is what you should look at in a resume, right? You might have like a 2-page resume, and every experience of yours might have like 10 bullet points. But if those bullet points are something like, I was responsible for generating leads as a business development executive, I think what's new or unique about it? Every other business development executive, I'm sure Shivangi, you will agree, will write this on their resume because that's what they're responsible for: generating leads, bringing in revenue, doing sales, etc. So it's important that you make it very customized and personal to your achievements or what impact have you created in the firm. So let's say if you were able to bring in a sales of about 50,000 in less than a month and which contributed to about 5% of the monthly revenue of the company, that's a specific tangible achievement or a point I would want to see. And even if there are just two such points, those are more meaningful and impactful than random points like I was a team player or I was building reports or attending meetings, creating MOMs, right? So I think your resume just should be on point that way, and it should be ATS compliant, which is the bot or the software that scans your resume. No matter what kind of company you're applying to, all the Fortune 500 companies use it. So just be careful that the kind of keywords that you're using, the format that you're using for your resume is all ATS compliant, because that's the one barrier that's going to stop you from reaching that interview to your dream job, right? Talking about how they can stand out from the crowd and how can they kind of shine through in their interviews. I feel, again, a lot of people lay a lot of emphasis on technical skills, and you should. I mean, it's obvious if you want to become a software developer today, you're not going to land a job, no matter how good your communication skills are, if you can't cross the coding round. And I get it. Or if you're not able to answer the technical MCQs or answer the questions in the technical interviews. Agreed. But having said that, let's say you cross all of those levels and you make it through the coding round and through the technical interviews, and you're in the last round, which is the HR round, and they ask you certain behavioral and situational questions. And just because of the lack of practice or getting nervous and being anxious and not being able to express yourself or being confident, you lose out on that opportunity at that last stage. I think that's more hurtful than anything else. And I think majority of the people face that issue because we are just told to and taught to concentrate only on the technical aspects of things, not on the soft skills. And I think it's very important that we start giving the soft skills their due importance, because the reality is that whether today you are working in a technical, non-technical field, you run your own business, or you're a freelancer, you require good communication skills and good soft skills because you're dealing with people ultimately. Yep. So I think that's something that they really need to work towards, and it can help them stand out from the crowd when you're competing against someone from the same college with the same degree with the same grades. That's what's going to help you stand out.
Absolutely. That's such sound advice. Again, because communication is key to get your work seen, get your capabilities seen, to be heard. You need to talk. You need to be able to communicate. You need to be able to write.
Correct.
And articulate. So that's so true and so relevant. Yeah. But tell me something, when you sat for your entrance, at Vellore, and you got into your engineering college, completed your 4 years, and then you spoke about it in your Josh talk, which I looked at just this afternoon, and you spoke about how there were 750 plus companies that came for the interviews, and you just selected 22 that you sat for, and you knew that, okay, these are the only 22 that I'm going to sit for. What sort of convinced you? Yeah. What was your mind frame like? What were you thinking? What was your mindset like when you decided that, screw all the 750 other companies, I'm going to go only to these 22? What is it that convinced you to do that?
Yeah, I think I'm glad that you asked that question, and thank you so much for watching the video. So I think when you talk about it's making a very hard choice, right? And typically for me, because of the kind of family background I came from, I was truly not in a position to make that choice, right? I was not supposed to be in a frame wherein I am making the choice which company I choose. It should, rather have been that I'm sitting for almost every company that I could, because it was very important for me to land a job at that point. Very important, right? But I think what really got me thinking was that, let's say and suppose that I do sit for all of them, just like most of my friends did, and I keep giving interviews, and I somehow, by hook or crook, by probably crying, learning things, taking, help of my friends, whatever it is, right? Try to clear the rounds, and probably I would have made it through, right? Clearing the first round, honestly speaking, in an engineering college is not difficult. I don't want to get into the technicalities of it, but it's fairly simple. But after that, what? When you are there in the interview round and you're asked questions, let's say even for that I mug up and I go, I was like, and I get selected and I get a job also. Dhairya, would you be happy doing a job at an Amazon, at a Microsoft with a 25, 30, 45 lakh package also, but struggling every single day? Because let's say people can help you or technology can help you get through and sail through things till the interview stage. But what about your day-to-day living, day-to-day work? Who would how would you look at yourself and probably, be proud of what you've done? And what I realized was that while I could have done that, I don't want to live that kind of a life where I'm cribbing and not happy with the job I'm doing every single day, because it's my life, right? It's not a small decision that's going to impact just a single day. And that's when I realized, rather than doing that, why don't I just focus all my energy, all my effort onto something I am certain about, I am passionate about, and I know even if it gives me less money, I'll be the best at it, right? And I'll give it my best and I'll progress through things there. So that's when I realized that let's just give it a shot at the management firms or the edtech startups. So even in terms of management firms, calling it management firms makes no sense, because there were just 4 companies that came in, the big fours, right? And one of them didn't even come that year, which was EY. So I had PwC, Deloitte, and KPMG as the brand names to kind of, those were my hits, right? Apart from that, all the names that I sat for were startups. They were good edtech startups. We know their names. But the roles were not as prestigious as that of consulting. So those were my only options, right? And that was cumulative of those 22 companies. So I said that while the number seems to be very, very limited and probably it's risky, I just knew that I had to give it my all. So I gave it my all. And I was very clear in my head that, like I said, even if the package is not that lucrative or whatever, we'll, make our way up. So you do good at work, you prove your worth, and you just stand out from the crowd in that space of whoever, the students are who are selected in that batch. So my focus was very clear that I just need to be better than 17 other people, let's say, who were shortlisted till the last round in KPMG. And I just need to be better than maybe 4 or 5 folks who are going to work with me in my department who have just been hired, to be able to get that leap in my career. Yeah.
Wow, okay. Thank you for taking us behind the scenes and actually sharing with us what was on your mind. Uh,
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of strategy went into actually planning and sort of, implementing all that you did when you were getting
Yeah.
hired. But, since we're talking about KPMG, what's that one lesson that you think your job has taught you, which you think everyone at some point of time in their lives should learn, which would help them?
Very good question. I think I'm actually thinking that if I had to pick up one lesson that I've learned while working at KPMG, I think one of them has to surely be that you really need to take ownership of your work. This is something, so I'll try to break it down, right? Just saying that take ownership of your work seems like a very easy or a very, simple sentence to kind of, or a statement to make. When your bosses or your managers or even your peers tell you to take up a piece of work to be done, which you are solely responsible for, and you need to drive that end to end, what they expect out of you is not just understanding what the problem statement is and then executing it and reaching the end goal. What they actually expect from you is to just dive deep into that problem and do everything that it takes to understand that what was the root cause, to actually having alternate plans, to researching, to seeking for help, and kind of even, at sometimes not even being able to figure out things, but still having that ownership on you and saying that, yes, I was to deliver so and so by so and so. However, because of ABC or XYZ reasons and these developments or complexities and stuff, this is what the current scenario is, and it's going to take me ABCD times longer, or XYZ more effort, or I need support or whatever. So, but I think even for you, so what I'm trying to convey here is for you to be able to seek for help at your workplace, in a corporate or in any kind of a job, or for you to be able to voice out your opinion that, hey, I'm raising my hand, I need help, or I'm stuck, or I cannot execute this alone. You still need to be able to take onus, because if you don't take onus itself in the first place and own up to that, okay, this piece is on me and I need to execute it, no one's going to come and help you. So I think the ones who get help in the corporate world are the ones who are ready to take the ownership and are ready to become leaders. Even while they might fail at it, even while they may fail at it, and they might not be able to execute it properly, you'll only receive help when you're ready to take responsibility.
Okay, that's quite an interesting, way of looking at it, and very, very interesting. Because definitely taking ownership is key. But the take on sort of taking ownership when shit hits the roof is another thing which I feel like most
Yeah.
of us don't want to talk about it. Most of us don't want to sort of take ownership when things do, go south, and when we're not able to sort of figure.
And being honest, yeah, sorry to cut you down, but being honest, and I haven't taken up ownership a couple of times at work, being very honest about it, I'm talking about it for the first time on a platform. That's how you learn these hard lessons, right? So at times, early on, right? Not very recently, but when I was given ownership, firstly, it was so intimidating and overwhelming because I just transitioned from an intern to an analyst. And that's when I learned it the hard way that you still need to be responsible for something that's been handed over to you with a lot of thought and a lot of trust by your peers or your managers. So I was speaking from that perspective, and it's the first time I'm speaking about it, but I'm glad that I shared it.
Yeah, and because I'm sure it's going to help, uh, hundreds and thousands of other kids your age when they were 21, starting out and not
Yeah.
taking ownership. I think it's going to help a lot of people who are sort of going through that phase right now, where they're just getting started with their first jobs, and you all want it to
Yeah.
be rosy and pretty, and you don't want any of the mistakes that are made are like not mine, right? I didn't do it, right? The right things is me, the wrong things are not me. If I'm
Yeah.
struggling, it's
Yeah.
not me, it's them. So that ownership,
Exactly.
definitely when it starts coming in, even if you fail, uh, it's so true that even when you fail, your team members or your bosses would sort of be more compassionate to help you and be more sort of welcoming to help you. That okay, at least they're being honest that they tried and it didn't work out, which is such good advice. So I hope you guys honest and take
Right.
ownership for for things and responsibilities that are assigned to you, regardless of it working out or not working out, right? Which is amazing. Thank you so much for
Yeah.
sharing that, Dhairya. um,
My pleasure.
what is that one piece of advice you know you would give to students or young design graduates or graduates in general, because we're talking general graduates, once they get out of design school or colleges in general, what is that one piece of advice that you have for them, that hey, this is something that a lot of people have come to me with problems about in the last few years, this is where I could tell you that don't do this, right? What's that one secret sort of advice that you would like to share with them?
I think that what I've learned through my journey and a lot of what I've heard from my mentees is that we give in to what everyone's doing, even unconsciously, right? So a lot of times, just because there is a wave, people are talking about something, or something just seems lucrative on the surface, something looks really, really beautiful or very jazzy to get into. You might want to, kind of go with the flow just because XYZ person is doing it, or three of your friends are doing it, or your cousin did it and it
Yeah.
worked for them. I think one very important lesson that I've learned is if something worked for someone, there's no guarantee it's going to work for you. I mean, Warren Buffett, Jeff Bezos, you've got Anil Ambani, Mukesh Ambani, so many other examples of people who are supposedly successful and rich and everything. And we do know what they've done. And if it was so easy to be able to replicate and do everything just the way they did and get success, everyone would have been able to do it. So the point I'm trying to make here is just because someone's done something does not guarantee you getting success there. You can seek inspiration, but your path is your own. So I think just being really, really sure of what you want to do and not comparing yourself to others, and at the same time not giving into, I wouldn't even call it peer pressure, not giving into what majority of the people are just doing because that's what they've heard or that's what they know of. So do your research well, right? I think as students, we don't want to put a lot of effort. We just want things very quick and easy. Idhar se pata chal gaya, isne wo bola, isne done. Let's do it. We don't want to take the effort, go on the internet, read more about it, network with people on LinkedIn, speak to our seniors. So I think that is very, very important to be self-aware, to be confident in what you want to do and not comparing yourself to others and others' journey.
Yeah, that sounds really, really honest and relevant, and so important to understand as well that everyone's journey is different, and that's so true.
Right.
And if there's something that you take back today, let it be this: that if everybody could be a Mukesh Ambani, The journey is right there for you to look at, right? But
Exactly.
you have to sort of pave your own path, and that's such sound advice. Thank you so much, Dhairya. That's all that I wanted to ask you, all the questions that I had for you. Thank you so much for being so honest, and congratulations on the Josh Talk. I'll leave a link for the
Thank
Josh
you so
Talk
much.
under this YouTube video, so that anybody who wants to sort of go look at it can go look at it and get inspired. Only hoping for the best for you, and onward and upward. The journey has just started. Uh, and you've
Yeah.
just quit and put down your papers. So, entrepreneurship and freelancing starts for you now.
Yes, I'm super excited. And Shivangi, thank you so much once again. I've always admired your work and what you've been doing in such a niche space. And I think the impact that you're creating is tremendous. And I only wish you the best. You're a very positive, warm person. You know, we've met in person. And I'm so looking forward to this coming out on your channel. And yes, if you guys want to watch the Josh Talk, do watch it. I've been very raw and organic about things I've never spoken about because I just wanted it to help people to understand if a person like me can do it, you can do it too. And hopefully, just because we're doing this video for job seekers and the general audience, not just design students. One last thing is that although I'm not active on YouTube as of now, but I have launched a channel and I'm going to put up a lot of content around
Please
that.
follow.
So there's just so there's just a recording, a main introduction video, but just get ready for a lot of free stuff that's going to help you upskill because I want to
And
give back
also follow
in that
her
way.
on LinkedIn as well, because she posts a lot of relevant content on LinkedIn, sharing about the work that she's done over the last few years, and also talking about very relevant topics related to job, related
Yeah.
to interviews, building a career in India, working with the big corporates. So make sure that you follow her there as well. And yeah, thank you once again, Dhairya, for doing this. Super super excited to see
No, my pleasure.
super excited to see you
Yes.
very soon again on another LinkedIn
Yes,
video.
100%.
All right, awesome.
Yes. Thank you so much, Shivangi,
Thank
for
you.
having
Thank
me.
you, guys. Bye
Bye.
bye. Thanks.